Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Front 9, Master Division opening and weekend round edition for Champ de Mas tournament here, Master Division. Before we take a closer look, make sure that you do hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. It's not often that I do playthroughs for the opening round, but I felt that I'm gonna try something new here. Obviously, you need to have in mind that these shots are obviously reflecting what we do have in the best guides on the market for Master. However, the shots does not have all the details. Obviously, I explain a lot, but you don't have the more in-depth details and the wind angle tweaks and the most latest tweaks that we do have in the guide for Patreon. So if you do want to have the latest tweaks and be joining a community where you can together consistently get to the weekend round, but also improve your game so you eventually can then fight towards and fight amongst the top players in the game, you scan the QR code here on the screen or you go directly to patreon.com/golfclashtommy through the link in the description down below. But in the end, let's check out from hole number 1. You will see a drop on every hole besides hole number 9. So enjoy. Hole number 1, here we're sending it to green. This is a hole-in-one chance as well. We're starting having the ball guideline pointing towards the light pole, and then we're going to make an adjustment. There's max plus 10 P5. This is the more crosswind angle, and in the crosswind angle we should be playing with 2.2 topspin and 4 a right spin. In the tailwind angle we'll play with 1.8 topspin and 4 a right spin. We're pushing up based off wind angle, and here I'm pushing up 9.5 rings, and you can see here that playing with a P5 wind 0 ball here will give us a very slow and nice needle, and this is even with lower wind and worst angle. Many of the times we do have a completely slow needle, and that's obviously going to be super easy to hit perfect. Ball bounces on the fairway into the rough and rolls up on towards the green. I'm a little bit light on the curl, otherwise this would have been a good look at a hole-in-one. But, you know, worst case scenario here, we do have a nice and safe eagle. Hole number 2 is a tough one. We start at the min line for P3 ball. So set up with a P3 ball in a ring to be by the rough line, and then you swap to any power 0 to power 2 ball. 2.1 topspin, which is 1 click above 2 topspin, and then 1.5 bar of left spin. Adjust is going to be minimum distance minus 5% elevation P1 numbers, and here we're going to play with you know, favor to a small 1201. You can see the pull angle here on the screen, so whatever you judge that one to be. For me, that is more towards a small 1201 than a favor, in my opinion. That's what we're going to go with in the guide. And the reason we want to avoid 59 is because if we are getting 59, we're gonna fall short. We're not gonna stay in the bunker, we're gonna fall short. Dead center for a lovely hole-in-one here on hole number 2. For hole number 3, we start with the rock at complete max distance. This is option number 1 to have said as well. Blue ring to the right by the sand / fairway line. Swap to Thor's hammer level 8 or 7, and then we're going to make an adjustment that is max plus 10 P3. We're then going to go max overpower with outside wall left curl and try to hit perfect. Obviously now I'm not gambling because great left and great right here are safe, but obviously playing with a precision ball, we are playing with a slight shakier needle. Playing with a power 4 or even a power 5 ball here will give you a slower needle, but obviously then you don't have the precision on the second shot. We don't recommend to play this drive with any other drive than Thor's hammer level 7 and level 8, hence option number 1. On the second shot, I start directly by adding 4.2 backspin, and 1 left spin. Now, what I'm gonna look for is the top of the blue ring to be by the fringe line. Obviously, the blue ring will differ depending on what cataclysm level you have, and then looking at the ball guideline to be like that. You can also look at the second bounce to be centered into the bright green square as well, but most importantly that the ball guideline falls down like that. If you do have a low level cat, then you don't have the ball guideline to fall down, then your only focus point have to be the second bounce together with the blue ring here on this shot. Adjust is 88% slider plus 15% elevation with P3 numbers from +7, and then we're adding or subtracting as we normally do. This is the angle with no tweaks. The ball comes up the green, falls down into the groove there, dead center for an albatross here on hole number 3. Hole number 4, here we are going to play with sniper level 10. Start at max P3 line with white ring to be by the rough to the right. Zoom in so you're not being confused by that so-called ghost ring, that is that tiny little white flare that is inside the rough there or by the rough. Ball guideline to point like you do have there in the video, and then we're going to make an adjustment that is max plus 20 P2. 4 right spin and 2 clicks back spin, which is 2.1 backspin if we're gonna word it just in one value. This is the no tweak angle. This is one we're gonna have, and the experience has been that the angles has been left of that, meaning that we would in that case have to compensate for the angles that come from more left. Center the ball, hit perfect. Here you can obviously play with a precision ball. You can swap to any P1 plus ball after the adjustment, sometimes even a P1 but P0 ball if you pull outside plus yardage, or you can just play with a precision P3 ball if you want to do that. I mean, there is plenty of different options here when it comes to balls. Me personally, I'm not going with precision when it comes to snipers and par 3s. On hole number 5, start at max P3 line with our quarterback yellow ring by the rough line. For those that don't want to play with a P3 ball, you may want to play with a P4 or P5 like I'm doing here in the video, then set up at the top of plus 15, then you don't have to do a ball swap. Yellow ring by the rough line, swap to a pock and thorn bag. Here I'm playing with a power 5 side spin 2 wind 5. You can play with any power 3 side spin 2 plus and wind 5. Half a ball of right curl, and you can see here now when we're playing with a P5 ball and wind 5, we're going to have a completely slow needle playing with Apocalypse level 7 and Apocalypse level 8. We're going to do small push-ups when it comes, a small push-up for Apoc 7, and we're going to do a little heavier push-up when it comes to Apocalypse level 6, trying to get to around 380 yards. For those that do want to play with a precision power 3 ball, then you can do that as well. It's not recommended for Apoc 6 users, it's recommended for Apoc 7 and Apoc 8. However though, the needle will be fairly shaky, and that's something you're gonna have to deal with if so. On the second shot, we're gonna do a rough line check, or we're gonna play based off yardage. I recommend the rough line check because rough line check is more accurate than what yardage will be. But based on hitting a perfect drive, you may go a little bit too long for rough line check. Then the yardage is good to have to fall back on. You can see here now that I'm leaving the ball guideline slightly short of pin, like I'm gonna do a max backspin, half a bar of left spin. Always pull over bullseye, and we're going to use 50% slider, so mid, with 15% elevation, P3 numbers from +4, adding or subtracting 0.1 for every 2 yards. Center the ball and hit perfect, and the ball bounces past and right a pin for a lovely eagle here on hole number 5. On the drive, we're gonna do very much the same that we did in qualifying round. So half of the clearing inside the rough with a poke 8, and then the other overlap with poke 5, 6, and 7. This is a play that you can play with a poke 5 plus 5.5 top spin, 1 left spin. Adjust is gonna be max plus 10 P3, and I want you to avoid 11.59 here with your pull. If anything, favor 12.01. Adjustment is done, and then we're going to go with circle drop overpower, which is where you can see here when I'm moving my ball down and it jumps exactly there. That's the spot that we're looking for, and then try to hit perfect. Now, this is a drive that is designed to get to around 380 to 385 yards. A great left has been safe, a great right has been hitting the bunker but still rolled out. But it could be that it gets stuck in the bunker as well with a great right, something that's worth have in mind. But I'd rather take this type of a little bit more aggressive route here, because now we can consistently attack the pin, and I do believe that this is a really good chance for an albatross. On the second shot, we're gonna do a fringe check, where the fringe meets the fairway aligned with pin, and then we're going to turn the screen around a little bit, and we're going to focus on the red ring's position. Red ring to be by the bunker edge and by the top of the rough there. Then we're applying spins to have the ball guideline go 1 green square through the hole. And once we have found that, and if we have to correct a little bit, we move and correct. Adjustment now from plus 11 fringe check is going to be 56% slider with no elevation, P3 numbers. And this is the angle that we're going to do no tweaks whatsoever. There will be 3 wind angle tweaks here, because that's going to be essential to drop this one consistently, because I do believe that this is an extremely good chance, and if we do hit perfect on the drive, then we don't want to see ourselves in a situation where we are missing with a perfect ball. The reason I'm dropping it hard right is because I'm using 1 click of right here, because that was my read at the time, but this is going to be centered ball, and then we would have gotten that right at pin. On hole number 7, we do have a similar type of headwind, just that it's opposite direction than what we had in qualifying round. Start at the top of plus 13 with our quarterback, a red ring by the rough line, and that's no max line for any ball power, so here just go with the ball that you want to play with. Here you can play with a P3 ball. It's going to be super shaky needle though, it's not recommended. So a P4 win 5 or a P5 win 5 is definitely recommended, because then the needle will be very slow. With P5 ball is always completely slow. 0.6 ball of right curl. I'm looking at the transparent line going just by the edge of the circle, and max top spin, 1 right spin in this angle. We're not gonna do any tweaks here. We're just going to hit max overpower. If we do have more headwind, we're gonna push up 2 yards, and that is with a poke 8, obviously slightly different when it comes to a poke 7 and also a poke 6. On the second shot, we're going to do a back fringe check, very similar to qualifying round. It's gonna be aligned with pin, bullseye to be by where the fringe meets the green. Now we're looking for the ball guideline to be 1 green square through the hole, and we're gonna be having the ball guideline on the right side of the pin like that. No spin, so super simple. And what we're going to do is going to have 40% slider, 15% elevation, P5 numbers from plus 5, and then we're adding or subtracting 0.1 for every 2 yards. So here I'm deducting 0.1 as I had plus 3 as my check. Center the ball and hit perfect, and this is going to be a good chance for a drop in my opinion. Bounces on the fairway up towards the pin, dead nuts, and we will take it all day and every day. Right, so on hole number 8, this is a tough wind here, and I decided to go for a rough bump after testing a couple of different things out. 2 back, 3 right. Now I'm looking at the bottom left of the blue ring by that leaf patch, as you can see, but also with the ball guideline through the hole. Now, adjustment is going to be 1 to 1 minus 0.6. So here we're gonna play 7.5 rings. What I would recommend here, and that's why I'm choosing this video, is to ensure that you are not that you're zooming out properly. Like, you need to find the balance there from too much zoom in and too little, so you can pull everything in one sweep. There is a headwind angle where pulling everything in one go is a little bit difficult, but it's, what can I say, it's not going to be impossible, so to speak, but most of the time it's going to be just a clear view for you to pull. But go into practice, don't waste a ball, find yourself that middle ground, and this is the angle where we're going to go for no tweaks here, and we're dropping this one nicely dead center. Hole number 9 and NMT with quarterback, and we're gonna open up in max P5 line, and we swap to a poke and cat bag. We're gonna play with 6 top spin and 1.8 right spin. Once we have set that, we're going to make an adjustment that is a max plus 10 P4, and then we're gonna apply full curl. What's need to be added as well is that those of you playing with a poke 5 should always be going with 2 left spin, not the 1.8 due to the lesser curl. The ball here will then roll up to approximately 350 yards. Great left and great right has been just fine, and we're trying to play this one as safe as possible. You can play this hole as well with a P5 side spin 2 wind 5 ball if you would like. You don't have to. You can keep the wind 4, but obviously playing with less wind on the second shot will be helpful. Here on the second shot you will see me stretch out to absolute max to find the bullseye to be just there by, complete max with the bullseye. And the good part with this is that if you do hit a perfect ball drive, or any drive really, the ball will always roll to approximately the same distance, which is very helpful for us to not have to do any other type of reference here in the second shot. Adjust on the second shot once finding that spot. It's going to be max plus 10 P4, and then we're going to apply all the curl we can to the right, and you will notice here that I'm playing with 5.2 backspin, which is a mistake of mine here. I should be playing this one with 4.2 backspin instead, which is also the reason why I'm falling short there on the green. What you need to have in mind here is that this is with a wind 4 ball. Obviously a higher wind is going to it's not going to be any problems, but you will bounce fairly close to the rough with the first bounce. If you can play with a P5 wind 5 side spin 2 ball, which there is only one of, then that would be a suggested ball as well. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough for Front 9 here for Master Division, opening round and weekend round edition for Champ de Mars tournament here in Golf Clash the game. Have in mind that these are rough shots and notes, and if you do want to get the full guide with all the details, wind angle tweaks on par 3s and par 4s and par 5 for an example, but also the latest tweaks that we do to the guide, you go to patreon.com/golfclashtommy and sign up to our Master Division package. Obviously we do have a pro and expert as well that you can either combine or you can get for themselves. The opening round guide and the weekend round guide for Master is out, so once you do sign up you get immediate access. Patreon.com/golfclashtommy, or you scan the QR code here on the screen. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck in the Champ de Mars tournament.